Hi, and welcome to this afternoon's chocolate brownie demonstration. I'm Chef John, and I'll be teaching this afternoon how to make the most absolutely lip-smackingly gorgeous, aromatic, flavoursome, incredible, delicious chocolate brownies. So to start off, let me just take you through the ingredients we've got. We've got some lovely Lindt 70% cocoa chocolate, so really, really nice and chocolatey. But fear not, we're smacking loads of sugar in there to take the bitterness off that chocolate. And then a few other ingredients. We've got some cocoa powder, we've got some plain flour, some lovely blanched roasted hazelnuts, which I bought from Waitrose, some Cadbury's milk buttons. Are they Cadbury's? They might be Nestle's, I'm not sure. We've also got some mini eggs. They're great little things. I'm sure everyone's quite well versed with mini eggs. We're just going to put those on at the end. Actually, we're not going to mix them through the brownie. A few eggs and some butter, and that's about it. So to start off, what we're going to do is just melt some butter into a saucepan. We're going to heat the butter up nice and hot, and then we're going to take it off the heat. We're going to put the chocolate in the pan. We're just going to stir it around gently until the chocolate melts. And then we're going to add that to eggs and sugar, which we beat together to a light sort of almost meringue consistency. Obviously, you've still got the egg yolks in those eggs, so it doesn't quite turn to meringue. But yeah, we're aiming at getting loads of air in. And then we're just going to fold all the ingredients together. I'm going to run you through how to fold things, which is a really useful technique to use in the kitchen. So without further ado, first of all, we're going to get that butter in the pan. So let's pop the scales on. Got our lovely butter here. Butter-wise, I always tend to use unsalted when I'm cooking sweet things. I mean, I know there's loads of people that like to put a bit of salt in their sweet things, but I'm not overly fond of that, to be honest. So just going to get 160 grams of butter. Here's a bit of a test for me. I'm going to guess about that. Let's pop that in the pan and see how close we are. Useless, John, come on. So we need another 60 grams.
Nearly a whole pack.
Yeah, it is. There we go, so 160 grams of lovely butter. There we go, bang on. Lovely, that's what we like. So we're going to pop that on the heat, and we're just going to melt that butter in the pan, and then pop our chocolate into it. While that butter's melting, while that mutter's belting, don't know quite what I'm saying there. Probably the effect of a couple of glasses of Pimm's that I had at lunchtime today. Probably not the best idea just before you start cooking, but you know, it's Good Friday, and it doesn't really matter. You do what you want on Good Friday. Next up, we've got 200 grams of lovely chocolate going into this tray. I'm just going to break it up before it goes into the butter, and that's just going to let it melt that a little bit easier. So each of those squares I'm breaking in half as well, just into nice little pieces. Lovely, and the second bar, there we go. And all that, one massive benefit of Lindt chocolate, all their packaging is recyclable, which is great, so that's going to go straight in the recycling bin down there. Super. Great, so we get all our chocolate ready. And then I said earlier that we're going to whisk the eggs and the sugar together. And the reason we whisk them really vigorously first is to put loads of air into it. And so it should, although this brownie is really quite rich in taste, it has a nice light consistency still, but at least has a few air bubbles in there just to sort of take the edge off the richness slightly. So I'll just stir this butter around, maybe crank the heat up a little bit, just speed up the operation. There we go, lovely, looking good. So into this I'm going to crack my 3 eggs. 3 eggs and 225 grams of sugar. So like I say, quite a bit of sugar. Sugar wise, I'm today using granulated. If you've got caster sugar to hand, that's probably preferential. Generally when you're baking, it's always best to use caster sugar. And the reason for this is it's a highly refined sugar, so you've got no risk of crystallization happening with the sugar when it bakes, and you know, whatever you're cooking, getting a really crunchy outside. I mean, some people might argue that's a good thing with brownies. Brownies, when I cook brownies, I always want the centre of the brownie to be nice and nice and moist, nice and almost not raw, but just slightly soft. I think that's really important. So over to the scales, we'll weigh in our 220 grams of sugar, 225 grams of sugar rather. Where are we? Good. So weigh in, that's 100, 225. Lovely. So let's just wait for this this butter to melt before we start whisking the eggs. Because basically, once you whisk your eggs together, you want to be able to get your chocolate and butter mixture into the eggs as soon as you can after that, just to prevent too much of the moisture, the air being beaten out of the eggs. So beautiful, melted butter, lovely. And what we find with these brownies as well is once you cook them, you should leave them in the tin to cool, leave them overnight or something. So the way we'll do it, we'll pop our cream eggs on when they come out the oven, and we'll stop and we'll leave them overnight until we actually chop the brownies up. So if you'll find with these brownies, if you try and chop them straight away, the brownie's just going to sort of fall apart because it's so moist and delicious. Great. So that's the butter there, nice and hot. You can see there's a bit of activity going on there, a few bubbles. So pop the heat off under there, and then pop the butter in. And at the start, you probably just want to give that a little stir around, just to make sure that none of the chocolate congeals at all. Okay, so we'll leave that there, and then it's going to give chance for the chocolate to melt. Okay, that's lovely. Good. So if you were just melting chocolate, you couldn't do it straight on the heat because the heat would be too fierce and you'd burn the chocolate. Whereas our chocolate and butter there just seems to be melting nicely. Actually, that's great. Lovely. So over to our eggs and sugar. We're just going to pop the beaters in the whisk. Plug the whisk in. And then when we beat this, it's going to be done on a high speed. Okay, so I'll show you what's going on. Nice high speed. So mix the eggs and sugar together. So you can see now that the eggs and sugar, they've turned almost pale in colour. Great tip to get everything off the whisks. Just put the whisk on and just gently lift it out of the bowl and turn it off. And then you can see your beaters are pretty much clean. That's great, that's just the result we wanted. So pop those in the sink, plug the whisk, we're done with that now. Everything else we're just going to fold into the mix. So we've got our cocoa here. We've got 55 grams of lovely organic cocoa powder. Pop that in the bowl. Just give the bowl a good clap to get everything out of it. 55 grams of flour. That's lovely. 100 grams of hazelnuts. Splendid. 100 grams of chocolate buttons. Yeah, we just got to make sure that we've got enough chocolate in here. The chocolatey brownies are just the real one, the real winner. So then, obviously, we've got our chocolate and butter mixture there. Lovely, super. So that's going to go in as well. Wonderful. And pour that in, and just make sure that we get every last little bit out of that pan with our spatula. Now, the utensil I'm using here is a really useful one. If you haven't got one in your kitchen at home, they're such useful things to have. Mine's made by a company called Vogue, but it's called a chef's spatula. It's a spatula spoon, and it's really good to just get right into the corners of your pan and get everything out of it when you're So now what I'm going to do is just prepare my tray. So as soon as I fold my mix, I can get the batter in the tray. Here I've got some greaseproof paper, and the easiest way to get your tray prepared. Lots of people tend to put the paper in, press it in at the corners, and twist the corner to get the paper in nicely. But I always find that the corners come untwisted, and everything just ends up a bit of a nightmare. So nice easy way to do it. Get your paper, go over to the cold tap. You can run your paper literally under the tap. Give it a good squeeze. Like that, so you're almost sort of saturating your greaseproof paper, and then unfold it, and then just press the paper into the baking tray like that. and hey presto, ready to go. Okay, lovely, easy trick there for getting your baking paper into the tray. So, getting on to folding now. So what we're looking at doing, like I said earlier, is just folding this this chocolate mix going. When you fold, what you want to do is go down the middle and stir around and lift over the top. Okay, look at all those ingredients coming together now. It's looking absolutely superb. I cannot wait to eat these. But as I said, we're going to leave them until tomorrow. We're going to be well behaved. It's such an underlying temptation to just dive straight into those brownies as soon as they come out of the oven. But believe you me, if you can leave them until the next day, they're just that much better. Most brownies appreciate being left overnight, and it just lets all the ingredients settle. It's like when you cook meat, we always rest the meat before we eat it. Why not rest your brownies before you eat them too? Okay, so there we go, that's all coming together now. And as soon as it's all a consistent colour throughout, we're going to stop folding it, because that means we've exercised it enough. And you can see when I'm folding all the air bubbles in there, and that's the result of doing this nice gentle technique of stirring. So like I said, we're going through the middle, and then we're lifting the spoon around as we go. Okay, so through the middle and lift around, through the middle, lift around. And there we go. Got a lovely even consistency of brownie mix throughout. So all we're going to do now is pour that brownie mix into the tray, into the baking tray, which I hope, to sweet Lord, is big enough. Yeah, I think we're going to just be all right there actually. So I've used a 6" by 8" baking tray here to make my brownies in, and these are very much going to be nice, you know, chunky brownies. And whenever I make brownies, I always make sure that I leave a little bit in the bowl just for a chef's taster, just to make sure that it all tastes fantastic, and just get a bit of taste there. And my word, that is absolutely delicious. Forgot to say earlier on, we've heated our oven up to 170 degrees. This website will be on our social media platforms, on Facebook and on Instagram. And if we ever write a cookery book, it might be in there as well. Good, so chocolate brownie goes into the oven at 170 degrees for 30 minutes. Okay, so cooking it nice and gently. You don't want to cook it too fast, otherwise you'll find that the top burns before the brownie's ready. Lovely. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes on the dot. The time has just gone off, so we're now going to get the brownies out. Here we go. Oh yeah, look at those puppies. So there we got the brownies, and like I said, we're just going to leave those. Overnight. You see, at the moment they're still, it's still nice and soft. So there's plenty of give in them. But what we are going to do is just get our Easter eggs, and I reckon if we chop that sort of into 3 that way and 4 that way. So if we put Easter eggs just sunken slightly into the top. Good, and see you in the morning.